Men's Skeleton World Cup World Championship continues here at Innsbruck in Austria. Lots of kids, lots of fans, trackside, and a whole host of athletes. 34 sliders getting ready to take on the Innsbruck ice once more. Well, hello everybody, welcome back for our second of 4 heats. Martin Haven and John Morgan trackside at Igls as we get ready to see our top 20 and the rest of the field take on this track again.
Sunbin Young from Korea. After the first run, he was in 3rd place. Decent start, lost some time up top of the track, but on the bottom, he was a solid 3rd place, bronze medal position. Alexander Tretikov, the Russian rocket, set the track record at the start, but he had a sloppy ride, especially on top of the track before Kreisel, and just didn't post the time we thought, because he was chasing his nemesis, Martin's Dukurs. And Martin's Dukurs, he only had the 2nd fastest start time. But at the bottom part of the track, he looked like he was on a rail. Look at his form, blew away the track record. He's got a ridiculous lead of 3,500s. If he has another heat like that, it could be a victory lap tomorrow for this Dukurs guy who we call Superman, and for good reason.
He leads by 3,500. Sunbin Young, 800s from Alexander Tretikov. Really tight battle going on there to be the 2nd position slider. Or if Martins relaxes a little too much, who knows? We could see his lead cut into 34 sleds started and completed successfully the first heat. We go now in order 20 down to 1 and then 21 on to 34. So we'll see who moves up, who moves down, and what changes happen in what are some very tight battles up and down this field. We often talk about a few hundredths of a second being a large margin. Of course, empirically, it's a very tiny margin, but they all count. There's Alexander Tretikov getting ready to warm up just beside the start. Air temperature hovering just above 0. There's one of the sensations, the first heat, Florian, our 22-year-old Austrian, last-minute call-up, and by last minute I mean since Sunday, to start in the World Championships, training on Monday morning. That's a great break for him, and he has had a really good first heat.
Dukurs out in the back there in the gray, just pondering another day at the office for him. Yeah. Just never looks phased.
A bit like Valentino Rossi, he's been on top of the pile for so many years. He has to keep reinventing himself to stay in front of these guys. And so far, he's done that successfully. Marco Rohrer for Switzerland, excuse me, was 20th after the first heat. I hope my voice is going to last another 4 days. And he will go first as we go 20 down to 1. And that means that Martins Dukurs will go on 20th ice. And this is one of the things that might change things around, because after the first 3 or 4 sleds, the ice will get less fast than it was. And so Dukurs will have less good conditions. Beyond him, all the way down to Denis Lorencic, our 34th slider after the first heat. They will all get to go a 2nd time today and then a 3rd time tomorrow before the field is cut to the fast 20. Switzerland's Marco Rohrer gets our 2nd of 4 heats underway. The Men's Skeleton World Championships here at the BMW IBSF Worlds in Innsbruck in Austria.
Well, the 12th best start time in the first run, which is impressive. He shouldn't be back in 20th place with that start. 5:03, which is just 100th off. And watch for consistency here up top. You have to be so quiet, like he wasn't right there. He just looped that curve 3. And you have to be quiet up here. You can't steer the sled at all. You have to meld your body into the sled. It's very easy to say. And the disparity between with the way he slides and Dukurs. Oh, you can hear the scratching. Martin, one thing I've noticed is Dukurs made, usually in the speed part of the track, times are pretty close. From this point right here, Dukurs beat Rohrer by 4/10. Yeah. It's unbelievable what Dukurs does out every part of the track. And the question is just how good is he? I mean, why is he so much better at melding himself into the sled? Why is he so much better than everybody else?
It's a brain thing. The best drivers have got the fastest synapses, whether it's on a car, in a bobsled, or in a skeleton. It is speed of reflex.
Okay, so this is Kreisel. Watch the exit. Slingshot. Head comes up a little bit, goes back down appropriately into 8 now. Oh, look at that mistake. So he exited wrong out of Kreisel, and it cost him. And then here, you know, he comes off late out of 9, and, you know, I don't think that was a good run.
Well, he was 100 slower in this start and 300 slower on the run, but yeah, he had better ice. He was 24th off in the first heat, first off in the second. Hansen Lee will also benefit from a little bit better ice. He started 18th in our start draw in heat 1.
He had the 25th best start of 14. He needs to improve down to 11 or something. He's a better start athlete than that. 13, 100 better, but still going to leave him in the 20th start position. Boy, you finish like you start. You play like you look. And, you know, he's got enough experience. Look at his form.
Now, he was tied to the 100 with Marco Rohrer, so we have 21 sleds, in fact, in our top 20.
28 hundredths already down, but Rohrer beat him by a 10th.
Rohrer had a couple of mistakes lower down, so that gap might close.
No, I don't see it closing it. He might, yeah, he might get it down to 10. Rohrer was loose down here too. Yeah, it'll be in the teens.
So he will drop back. They were tied for 20th, which means they both...
Oh, whoa!
How does he do that? He came from 2200s back.
Wow,
that's tied to the 100th after 2 trips.
So Marco Rohner must have had a really bad 12, 13, 14. We didn't see that in Hansen Lee.
Well, the speed had gone away, and Lee was clean down at the bottom, got nicely through the
So wait
labyrinth.
a minute, they were tied in the first run?
Yep.
And they're tied in the second run?
Yep.
What are the odds on that? That's lottery ticket stuff. And look at his hands coming way back up. His fists are closed. Everybody else got their hands open. And your hands are open like a track field guy, you reach. Hansen Lee, go to the leader's box.
Yeah, Marco Rohrer, Hansen Lee tied to the 100 for the second heat in a row. Alexander Mutovin of Russia, 16th of our starters. He was 12 hundredths quicker than our joint leaders now, and he carries that advantage through. Winner is the least elapsed time over all 4 heats added together.
You see the spikes on the shoes, just like the bobsled shoes. They used to let them use track spikes, but the track spikes would dig up the start area so much, the longer track spikes. So when skeleton did become an official Olympic sport, they outlawed those, and they went to the bobsled track spike. 1/16 of an inch, 375 of them, and allows you to run across the ice.
2200s up on our joint leaders at the moment. 700s back on aggregate. So this is a slightly quicker run.
Little tap there and big skid into 8, and he's down by 13. And, well, we saw Hansen Lee find a magical line down here, and he's not going to find it though. He's going to drop back behind both of these athletes.
Out of the final corner, dives for the line, a 10th behind.
He found a little bit of time in the bottom. Look at Willie Schneider, look on the wily world champion veteran that he is for West Germany. Or it was Germany. No, it was West Germany.
Yeah, he's Bavarian. He's Bavarian, so, well, he is now. Although he was actually born in Romania, in a German area in Romania. So there's Alexander Mutovin, slips a spot.
Well, where does he come out here? Right side, bang. It's not what you want. Then he's skidding more into 8, and you know, feet. That does a lot to do with your momentum.
Can hear a little bit of Russian from the crowd here at trackside. Our next athlete is Canadian Barrett Martineau. Started skeleton in 2010 after being a 4-jumper at the Vancouver Games.
Still coaches.
Still coaches ski jumping. Great leg turnover. Not sure how that... I suppose that's the fast twitch fibers you need to spring off the platform.
5:07, 100th slower than his first run. Look at him. Now watch up here. See how quiet they can stay in the sled. No movement. Get around right in the middle of those bobsled grooves. He did the same thing in the first run, didn't he? Had his foot out in that straightaway.
1300s up from the first heat, and that has all vanished.
He just wasn't quiet on those first couple curves. And the music you're hearing, well, this is the music that the athletes requested to play when they came down the track.
Shows they're on walk-on music. If you can recognize it at home, you're doing a better job than I am.
Got green numbers, starting to fly, starting to show. He's had a great season. He's really improved. 53.60. Well, he's 700 slower, but
adds to his advantage. 2200s up now on the former leaders, Hansen, Lee, and Mark Aurora.
Red numbers at the top of the track, green numbers, or red numbers in the middle of the track, and look at the technique of the Canadian. Look at his hand. I see his hand's not closed, but his arm's coming behind him and not straight back, and his arm's in front of him. Surprised, because the Canadians have that push house up there, and the Canadians are the ones that invented this one-handed push. No Canadian invented your leg out when you're coming down the track. That's just big uncomfortable.
That's a natural instinct, I think, to try and balance yourself on the seesaw that is the sled. Great helmet work for Kyle Brown of the USA. Started 10th fastest, 5:01 getaway. See if he can break into the fours and try and accelerate away from current leader Barrett Martineau of Canada.
Here we go, 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 go!
Decent start in the first run. See if he can do it again. Had some problems in the first heat, though, around curve one. Watch him, how much of the curve he takes here. Up, down, up. Now watch him here. Look for the bobsled lines. See if he get in the middle of them? That's a lot better.
A lot tidier.
You know, he's got a track and field and a hockey background. You know what his favorite movie is? Slapshot.
That's everyone's favorite hockey film, right?
Yeah. The Hanson brothers.
3/10 the advantage.
This is much better. 3/10 and accelerating away. Now, he's not as good down below. Still got to get a feel for these European tracks, but that start time, the best of the heat of the 5 so far. This is much better.
From the first
he should move up here a couple spots, because he didn't make the mistake in curve one like he did in the first heat. Wow, 53.12.
3/10 of a second quicker.
Better. He's the first guy to go significantly quicker. But that's the track and field background.
53.12 in the first heat would have left him 8th. He was 17th.
Well, there's 4 heats, Kyle.
There you go. Now, he needs to wrap up warm. He may be in the leader's box for a while.
Athleticism here. Watch the form points we'll give him for the entry onto the sled. How is this? Knee first? Oh, the knee hits first. So we got to take some form points off, but great start, best start of the competition, and he didn't have a problem through curve one. Now watch his head here in the exit. Oh, see that bounce? Came off the outlet of the curve, and the pressure bounced his head up a little bit.
Still more to tidy up, but he's in the leader's box. Next up, Alexander Auer.
Okay, this is fun.
24-year-old, the older of the 2 Auer brothers, whose father Christian won the World Championship, ahead of the man who's now his coach, Mickey Grumberger, who took the bronze medal. And as the camera follows him, look for his father. He'll be on the left-hand side of the track. He was in the first heat watching.
Christian, 25 years ago today, his father wins the World Championships on this track. And then he's got 2 sons competing. Isn't that cool?
I know.
That's really a great story. And it's a battle amongst the Auers, the older and younger brother, and bragging rights for the Auer house.
Yeah, younger brother got the faster of the first heats. 1600s behind Kyle Brown.
But that's relative to the start. He lost 900s to Brown at the start. Now it's 18, so he stopped the bleeding there significantly. And now watch him trying to eat into that time. No, he's not.
Needs a really good run here to try and...
Well, we did think Kyle Brown was going to move up 3 or 4 places.
Long skid into 10.
Ooh, big hit there. Yeah, this
is the pressure of your younger brother being quicker than you.
Well, I also think Kyle Brown smoked the run.
Yeah, he did.
53.60. That's only 1,700s back. I mean, Brown went 3,500s better.
Yeah. Oh, Alex. Need to go and talk to Thomas Dukurs about your younger brother being quicker than you and how you deal with it. He's still got a big smile on his face.
That exit out of curve 10 on his home track. This is out of 9. This is pretty good here. Watch him drift to the right. Now this causes him to go way into the wrong part of 10 and get too high. When he gets up to high in 10, he exits. Watch him hit the wall before the take-on. So that mistake wasn't made there. It was up on the exit of the straight or the entrance into curve 10.
Carried it too late out of 9 and skidded all the way down. Kyle Brown of the USA, the leader after our first 5 sleds down. Maciej Gaspari of Italy tied for 15th spot in the first heat with Alexander Auer, who's just slipped to second behind current leader Kyle Brown.
He had a very good start in the first run. 25th best start. He's better than that.
Gaspari really starting to come on strong this season.
5:10.
A little faster.
400's better. That should get him into the 18th spot or so at the start, which is where he usually is. Speed of 49.6.
His predecessor is the Italian #1, Giovanni Musalano, is now sliding in their bobsled team.
He'll be with the team Simone Bertazzo tomorrow.
1500's back. Now he could take the lead away from Kyle Brown from here if he can.
1600's back is not bad. He's got a chance for good lines. He's had a pretty good season. Couple top 10 finishes. 16 to 16. I don't think he's going to catch him, but we've been wrong once before already.
He was wild at the bottom on the first heat. He's much tighter on the second.
53.25. That's the second best time of the run.
So slips 1 spot behind Kyle Brown at the moment, but he is in front of Alexander Auer, who he was tied with in the first heat.
1800's better in this heat.
Yep.
So much better to start. He could move up, even though he lost a place there. Look at the hands. He doesn't drive his arm back like we've seen some of the other sleds. And, you know, it's only his 3rd year sliding and technique. Now here, looking for the skidding, looking for the spray. No, that's pretty quiet.
Bronze in last year's Junior Worlds behind 2 joint world champions, both of whom are just in front of him in this men's skeleton World Championship field. A lot of noise from the fans. What do you think that means? Oh, it's our other Austrian. This is 22-year-old Florian Auer. A couple of World Cup starts in his CV. Mickey Grunberger with the sled. What a day it is for the Auer family. Started 2 World Cups in his career this season. Winterberg and Altenburg, the first 2 races of the year.
5:11, that's 400's better also.
Yeah.
One thing we noticed, he had the 27th best start time in the first run, and he came down into the 14th position. So when you improve your start to your finish by 13 spots, he was the best guy in the field to do that. Yeah. You might improve by 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, but 13, that tells you how good he is.
He slipped to a 10th behind Kyle Brown. Now he's still only a 10th.
Here he comes, though. Stop the bleeding. He's really good at the bottom.
He was flying at the bottom. Little skid 9 to 10. 10th of a second in it.
Here it comes.
800s, 120.0. This could be very close. He might even tie at the line for the lead. No, 400s behind.
Boy, but he got crushed at the start by Brown by 1000ths. But still, he loses 1 spot. Still a good performance with that deficient start time. This young Auer's a little pedigree here from his father. Good lines down the track.
Whacked his hand against the wall in the finish.
Technique, quick, quick, quick. Everything's quick here. Let's see the boys. There's some good athleticism. We'll give him some great style points for jumping on the sled there. Watch him sneak through here, 9 to 10. A little bit of
tiny
skid.
Florian Auer, big smile on his face. Day 1 of the Senior World Championships is done. A race that he never thought he was going to be in a week ago. Pavel Kulikov of Russia has known this has been coming for a while. He is trailing his 2 teammates, but #3 in Russia. And part of the reason is right here. Look at his start. 4:97 in the first heat.
93, 92.
92.
Oh, but he was a little late coming around 1. Now see if, keep him, look at the next curve. See if he stays steady, yes. Doesn't go up and down above those lines. 2400's lead. Feet together, now it's time, get your feet together. Get into the Dukurs for him. It's very easy to say.
He was 1200s ahead of leader Kyle Brown from the first heat. He's nearly doubled that.
17.
It's coming back down, and Brown was very fast below the Kreisel.
Brown had some great speed down there.
I think Kyle Brown is going to lead after this heat as well. Kulikov down to 12. 3 corners remain, 2 corners remain, 1 corner left. Oh, 1100s holds the lead, and that's 100th of a second slower than Kyle Brown just came down, so there's still some speed in the track.
He likes it.
Yeah, he should.
Спасибо всем, Россия, вперед! Аня, привет!
Thank you very much. There you go, look at that.
Yeah.
Well, you got a good start. He's got the good start. Look at the form jumping on that little tray with runners on it. And then got too late here. See this? He had to really steer hard not to hit that wall. A lot of friction. So you want to be quiet up there getting around those curves.
Takes the lead away from Kyle Brown. 500s quicker at the start. 2100s quicker on the run, Pavel Kulikov. Now, Kulikov has thrown down the gauntlet for those that follow him. Dukurs Closes In of Canada, 12th place after the first spot, first heat rather, a 10th out of a top 10 finish. Will he move up, or will Kulikov continue to lead?
.511s, he should be faster. Everybody's faster at the start. No, he's the first guy to really go backwards at the start. 511 to 517. Wow, he's going to be way behind here at the next clock. He's going to have to take that big body mass and be perfect. Oh, I don't know if he can overcome that deficiency. I don't know why he went slower.
19 to 3800s back.
Now the question is, how many places is he going to fall?
At the moment, 5 spots back on the split times, but he's bringing the margin back down.
He's going to run out of track.
Yep, he's got a lot of mass to help him. He's a big, tall athlete. Carries a lot of frame.
30.
Down.
Needs another 100 meters of track. He'll get it down to the teens, maybe.
Still going to slip 3 or 4 spots.
23.
5th place at the line.
4
Kulikov
places,
moves up.
wow. So Kyle Brown moved up 4 places now.
Yep. And he's
Grace
in
just falls off his
wake.
sled there. Of course, that body mass he's got coming through there. He's the biggest man in the competition. The only one of 2 guys that look like bobsledders.
36 years old, the oldest guy in the field as well.
See his style points. Ooh, looks like he slipped there. That's why he didn't have the good start. Yeah. See that back foot? Boy, look how wide he was to the push grooves. That's why he was 600 slower at the start right there.
And the joys of the finishing area here in Igls. Slammed into the wall. Pavel Kulikov has the lead. And a little limping there from Dukurs Closes In. Next up, Nathan Icon Crompton. You guys guess where his nickname comes from? It's a very, very easy one.
Another good athlete here.
Yeah. World Cup rookie this season. Never met him until we got to Altenburg.
497 in the first run. People are getting better. Should be 493 or better. I should make a mistake. 496.
Yeah, 496. That's going to be firmly inside the top 10 starters. That's a great place to begin your career if you've got speed at the start.
Track and field athlete, you know.
Triple jumper in college. 1400s now.
Ivy League guy, Princeton.
He was 1200s ahead of Pavel Kulikov. He's added 50% to that gap at the moment.
And him and Kulikov had similar starts.
Nearly doubled the margin over Kulikov. This is a good-looking run from Nathan Crompton.
The only thing he lacks, he says, is experience on the tracks in Europe. His first World Championships. This is a promising rookie for the United States with that type of start time.
2400s up. This is a great run.
53.05.
05.
That shows the track still got some speed left.
That would have left him in 8th place after the first heat. That's a really nice run.
Wow, first World Championships, start time in the top 10.
305 and 97 push.
Now he puts it into his Ivy League computer and figures out he just had a great run. He just said, wow, 1700's better in the second run. If these guys are all better in the second run, what's Dukurs going to do to the track record?
There's your race leader, Nathan Crompton from the USA, ahead of Pavel Kulikov, and his teammate Kyle Brown lies in third. Top 10 from our first heat includes our final American slider in this men's skeleton world championships, Matt Antoine, the 2014 Olympic bronze medalist. We haven't seen a huge amount of that big cheerful smile this year. It's been a tough year for the man who has lost his start. Just saw teammate Nathan Crompton start 4:96.
508, much better start.
Step up, yeah.
Yeah, much better start for Matt. One of the tall guys. Look how long he is. And he's a good slider. I mean, he had to be to win a bronze medal at the Sochi Olympics, but then he had the third best start. Now he's 1900s down because of the start. Now he should stop the bleeding at the next clock unless he made a mistake that we didn't see in curve 1 or 2. Boy, his feet are together. He hasn't really moved. 18. This is where that experience needs to pay off here.
It's going to get close. Crompton may have the lead. Might go back to the hotel as top American.
He's going to be the top American. Question is, how many spots is Matt going to fall here?
And he's in second spot, 10th back, but only the 4th fastest run with a 53.19. So Nathan Crompton is the top US athlete overnight. US sleds 1, 2, and 4 at the moment, with the fastest 9 to come.
1200s he beat. Antoine lost at the start. Watch his technique. I mean, his technique is good. He hasn't forgot the technique. Look at how straight his arm is. That's the way he's been taught. Now he gets a little bit out of straight there, but you know, his running style was altered this summer, and he's got to go back to the basics because he was the 3rd best starter at the Olympic Games when he won the bronze medal. Now he's back with the 15th best start or something.
Yeah, he'll be stripping down.
24th best start in the first heat.
Mikhail Zakharov, our World Cup rookie from Germany, from the Oberhof Ski Club, track club. Former ski jumper with former junior world champion Christopher Grothair, who's having a year out with injury.
So we go from Antoine, the first guy listed in the skeleton directory, to Zakharov, the last guy. Yes. How about that disparity?
A to Z, 5:06, another strong getaway, 5:06 in the first heat. 500s behind Nathan Crompton now on aggregate. Out to 16.
He's had a pretty good year. He's on the, improved every time out.
Well, he's had that first year in the World Cup living the dream, hasn't he, where everything is new and exciting. The acid test will be how much he can improve next season.
Well, it's getting used to the hotels, the travel, the food. You know, there's a lot of things that you pick up on tour that you've never seen before.
Part of a bigger program with the German team, so
1400's back. This might be another scalp for both Americans.
It's going to be very close.
Oh, he came back. Did good on the bottom.
Crompton still leads.
Jens Mueller, gold medalist at the 1988 Winter Olympic Games in Luge for East Germany. He heads the German program. And the German program have got great equipment, and that just showed it there, because Zakharov just took the Americans and took a 10th off both of their times at the bottom. Decent start. 5th best start, 5:06. Same start he had in the first run, and a little bit of an angle onto the sled. How does he do in exit of Kreisel? Looks like he hugs the wall. Does he go to curve 8 with any problems? A little bit of a lean, not bad.
Well, don't see the big smile we normally do from Mikhail Zakharov. Slips a spot. Nathan Crompton leads with the fastest. 8 sleds to go. Next up is Great Britain's Dom Parsons, the mechanical engineering PhD student. And he was 1/10 faster than Crompton in the first heat. And the question is, how much speed is still left in the ice? We'll find out in a little while. 5:07 start.
Well, like Matt Antoine, like Thomas Dukurs, they're one of the taller guys in the field, 6'3".
Crompton started 1100s quicker, and Parsons was only a 10th up from the first heat, so he's already behind.
2000s here, 18, so that's pretty cool. You should start getting it down to 15, 16 here at the next clock. That'll give him a chance on the bottom. 20, nope, it's not good, and that tap there is gonna make him really stop accelerating. The question is, he could fall 2 or 3 places.
At the moment, down 4 spots.
Yeah, so another scout for Nathan Crompton here.
And for Mikhail Zakharov, and for
Oh boy, did he fly on the bottom?
Antoine. Yes, he did.
Really, even with all that mistake up there between 8 and 9. Ooh, was that a crush right there?
10th of a second slower than his first heat, though. He was off 6th in the first heat. He's off, what, 14th in this second one.
Tell he's not happy.
No.
Look how low for the season. Look how his fingers come back. And watch his fingers wiggle coming back up. See, they're telling him to reach as far behind you as you can and come all the way through with your hand to keep the momentum straight forward. That's a track thing. And they're obviously, the British team, very well schooled at that.
Don Parsons with plenty to think about overnight. Nathan Crompton too leads with 7 sleds, our fastest 11 athletes still to come. And then the rest of our field will follow. Kilian von Schleinitz, 7th place after the first heat. 1200s out of a top 6 finish for this young Bavarian. Derek Matchins, another former slider, coaching the Germans, shouting him off at the top of the track.
3, decent start.
Yep.
5:04 in the first run, which was the 13th best start. This is a 6'2" thin athlete, has a very similar build to Matt Antoine, to Don Parsons, who just came down, and the only difference is he's young. Brother slides for the German Rouge team.
And podium finishes in the Intercontinental Cup races in Igls here earlier this season.
Did very good in the first run on the bottom part of the track. Looks like he's going to do it here again.
Here we go.
Foot out, little rudder direction change.
Not too much of a toe steer, so he's still got speed on board.
Good speed.
And he will take the lead away from Nathan Crompton of the USA.
Question is how much? Wow, 53.01. He's 100th faster. Coaches like it. This is one of the put 2 Germans now in the top 10 here, right?
Yep, Crompton 53.04 and von Schleinitz 53.01. 100 faster at the top, 100 faster at the bottom.
His arms are a little different. He doesn't reach as much. Watch the eyes as he gets on this sled. That's pretty good entry. Now watch. Now, where's it? What are you looking for? Just somebody waving to you? He looked over to his left.
Well, that's a little thing that a lot of the athletes have. A little psychological thing that switches off the adrenaline of the start and turns the mind over to that zen that you've got to have for driving. Some of them look straight down.
It's the first one I've seen do that.
Some of them close their eyes.
We'll keep our eyes open for the rest.
Well, next up, 6 after the first heat, Thomas Dukurs. Thomas, the bronze medalist in the World Championships in Winterberg.
First man down the track, so he might have been at a disadvantage. 4.99, well, you talk about consistency in the sport. You need it, well, that's what he had in the first run. 4.99 start. He's got a pretty good lead on the... He's not worried about the German down below. He's worried about moving up. If there's anybody that can move up into a medal position, it's this guy right here. Another 6'3" frame.
3,300s out of the medals from the first heat. This needs to be absolutely stunning. His first run, a 52.9. He needs a 52.6 in this one.
Doesn't have the speed that the Schleinitz just had.
What's he got at the bottom? 52.8. Well, it's 400s quicker. That's not what he needs to put him in medal contention. As ever, a huge crowd on hand from Latvia, or Latvian fans. We had a good start, but only 400.
That's his father right there, Dennis. Now this is a 6'3" guy. Let's see his technique, how far back his arms come, how he pulls. Look at his fingers. There, his arms are way back, and he pulls through like to see his arm go farther up. But look how long he is, you know? And then, how's this? It's pretty quiet on that sled. Didn't have the speed on the bottom, though. Lost about a tenth back.
Long low drive off the start. Thomas Dukurs has the lead, but he doesn't look like a man who thinks that the world's going to fall into his lap. Thomas Platzer with the sled for our double junior world champion.
Thomas Platzer, one of the few guys I know that competed in the same year in the World Bobsled and World Skeleton Championships, I think in '91.
Nikita Tretikov, theme from Star Wars, is his choice of walk-on music.
Well, the Russian missile, the Russian rocket's coming up. Ooh, he drifts right out of there. Look at the big steer he had to do in curve 1 and 2. Yeah. So and he's just looking. He's going up and down in curve 2. Watch him in 3. A little bit of a variance there. But he's down. Look at, he's lost everything. He has a 93 start, 600's better start, and he's already lost all that. And he's in red numbers.
And he doesn't have the height and the mass of Thomas Dukurs. He's tall, he's nearly 6 foot, but he's not as tall as Dukurs.
12, he could fall behind Schleinitz.
In second spot, but
he's
Thomas Dukurs looking to move up.
Levin, he's coming back.
There we go. Not enough corners left.
The junior world champion. The reason the Russians have 4 sleds in the competition.
Slips 1/800ths of a second behind Thomas Dukurs.
Willi Schneider, the German coach, looks on. Former world champion himself in the sport of skeleton.
1600 slower on that run.
Well, his problem's up curve 1 and 2.
Yeah,
he's got to clean that up. No, he's both runs. It's down below. This was fine.
Yeah.
All this down here was good. But his problem is curve 1 to 2.
Yeah. He has so much speed at the start and then gives so much away in those first couple of turns. Axel Jung for Germany, lying in 4th place after the first heat. 2100ths out of the medals. It's not an insurmountable gap. He's got 3 runs to find 700ths in each one. But the man he's chasing down, Sunbin Yun of Korea, is going to outstart him on each of those, you'd think.
Very proficient. 492, maybe get a 490 here.
It's funny, Axel's not one of those guys you look at for the huge starts, but he is a very big starter. 490, that equals what Sunbin Yun did in the first heat.
Watch him here because he stayed a little low on the entrance. I think it cost him 2600ths. And this is a good slider. I mean, he should have good speed. Ooh, he's back to 24. It's not a good sign. At that start, he should have been way out better than that. Bleeding more.
Decent run, 7 to 8. He needs a good run all the way to the line now. 9 to 10, wriggles a little, but it's clean enough. Will he stay 2
120 speed? Yeah, he's got 120 speed. That's good. That'll leave him in the leader's box to just probably be 15 or something. 27, no. Oh, he accelerated in the bottom. Yeah, I got to do the math better. Oh, it's 120.4. That was way better speed than Thomas Dukurs, who only had 119 speed there. So at 120.4 speed was what saved him.
Compare and contrast the speeds here, up to 120 Ks. We're doing 135, 140 almost with some of the skeleton sleds in St. Moritz a couple of weeks ago.
Same in Whistler the week before that. Look at that, style points, beautiful.
Landed a little behind
rough
on
landing.
the sled.
Yeah, rough landing.
And then has to wriggle himself a fraction forward.
Okay, now the exit here, this is, let's see how he goes into 8. Or this is, no, this is exit of 9 to 10, perfect. That's why he had good speed.
Bit of back in black from AC/DC for Sunbin Yun. His favorite artist, he says, is Adele. Maybe rolling in the deep doesn't fire him up quite the same way.
The guy with the biggest quads on tour, he can match most bobsledders. 485.
Pulls out 500s on Axel Young.
Wow. He says, I better do it here. Had a bad drift in that straightaway, and he went through curve 3 up and down because he got on the wrong side of the curve coming in. Wow, what a start.
Richard Bromley, the coach, says this kid has not only got speed, he learns so fast. He said you only have to tell him something once and he goes out and does it immediately.
Korea's first ever gold medal in skeleton. Asia's first ever gold medal in skeleton. Happened in St. Moritz last week.
He was only 800s behind Alexander Tretikov from the first heat. This is not about holding off Axel Young. This is trying to chase down the leaders. 52-62, a fraction slower than his first heat. Now, where does that leave him? It will be no worse than third after the first 2 heats.
Yeah, there's a big, well, there's not that big a gap. And with Tretikov, he was so rough coming down the track. Look at the size of this guy. Look at the thighs. He looks more like a power lifter than a thin skeleton athlete.
Oh.
Wow, just such power.
Exactly what Gert Leopold was telling us about bobsled pushers. Hip to knee, that's where it's all coming from. Sunbin Young will be no worse than third, but can Alexander Tretikov hold off the Korean?
Or can he set another start record?
Or can he close down our first heat leader, Martins Dukurs of Latvia?
The 72 is the start record. He did 75 in the first heat. Young just went 500s faster, so Tretikov could break the start record right here.
Could be. Just look at the way he goes. No rock, no nothing. He's off like the starter gun. Just went off in 100 meters.
No, 474. 200's better. Only 200's off, excuse me. But he's got to have a good look at that mistake there. He didn't have much control of his sled in the first run. He was sloppy all the way down the track.
Drifting from 4 to 5. He's up a labyrinth.
If this goes down from 27, yeah, he should be way up with that start. He should be up in the 40s.
Only 800s ahead of Sunbin Young of Korea, and
this could be equal. This could be equal at the bottom.
I'm not sure he's even going to find any pace over Young. He's slipping and sliding everywhere. Skidding sideways again now.
He stopped the bleeding. Doesn't have great speed.
To 9.
1 kilometer slower.
He could be behind. 200ths of a second.
Well, Young now knows that he can get Tretikov. Tretikov could have changed runners, do something, because he's got no control of that sled. He was drifted up in curve 2 and 3.
Yeah.
With that start, he should have been 30 hundredths ahead at the Kreisel, not 21. Here's out of curve 2. Look at come to the left. Look at this.
Skids.
Taps there.
Yeah.
Now watch him. He goes up and down in the next curve here.
That's 14.
Yeah. He taps here before the finish.
Yes,
right at the finish.
Hits the wall at the line.
He went for no control. Yeah, I think he might find some control tomorrow.
Yeah. A little bit of a bucking bronco. What about Martins Dukurs, leader after the first heat? Second fastest starter. Didn't give much away to Tretikov and gave nothing away once he was lying down. It was a stunning first run from the Latvian with a new track record.
Superman. 70s.
3 times a world champion.
A conservative start.
Well, 100th quicker than his first.
Everybody else was getting 3 or 400s. 18:11. He's 100 better in the second run and that split time than the first run.
2600s up, starting to accelerate away now from Tretikov.
200 slower in that split.
To the left from 7 to 8. Don't forget, Tretikov was slipping and sliding.
600
working
slower.
hard for control here as well.
So he's probably going to be about a 52:30 or so. Track's a little bit slower.
Gaps opening up, 4200s up. He was 32 in the
50.
first heat. Wow. 52.50 added another 18 hundredths of a second to his advantage over Tretikov.
He just blows everybody away, especially on the bottom. On the bottom part of the track, he's got some line down here. Look how low he gets off. I mean, nobody comes off the start blocks lower than Superman does here. And not like his brother, not as tall. No one's more quiet on a skeleton sled than Marcus Dukurs.
Wow.
He's only lost one race this year.
Half a second clear of Alexander Tretikov, the Olympic champion. Sunbin just 2 hundredths behind the Russian now, piling on the pressure. Great moves up from Nathan Crompton, from Kyle Brown and Pavel Kulikov as well. Well, it does look like a one-horse race, but this is racing. Things can and do change. There is your race leader. Olympic champion Lizzie Arnold down in the Kreisel, reporting for BBC. As we get now out of our top 21, Rohner and Lee Tie of Switzerland, 22nd in the first heat. Needs to find just 7 hundredths to break into the top 20.
5:09 start.
He started 5:01 in the first heat.
That's
going the wrong way. You don't want that.
It's not like the start track got slower. Everybody else was going faster. So that's going to put him in a tough position, especially after tapping the wall before Kreisel.
However, 22nd after the first heat, he's already pulled ahead of Alexander Mutovin of Russia on the split times. Oh, a little late on the exit.
I think that's an understatement there. Wow. Feet are up. He's still got no control here.
They've all gone for a sled setup based on what they had in training. And today, I think, the ice is harder and less grippy.
53.78.
500 slower than his first heat, so what did Mutovin do? Did a 91, so he's closed on Mutovin, who's the man right in front of him. Notably, he's only 6 hundredths away from Alexander Mutovin. That was the only man we've seen later there was Dave Krzyzewski. Or was it Grizz or was it Barrett Martineau who was on his shoulder?
I think it was Grizz. Look, he knows.
Yeah, not the second heat he wanted. The Latvians are happy. What about Swifty? Now, Swifty needs to turn around what happened in race one. 491 in the first heat, 491 start. He was 4th quickest and then immediately slid straight into trouble.
Well, couldn't get through curve 1 and 2. If he gets through curve 1 and 2, he's got a chance. With that start time, he's a rocket here at the start. Oh, Brian Adams. Good, typical British technique at the start. Let's see if he can get out of here straight. Smooth. 490,
even faster, but he's got the speed still, which he didn't have at this stage in the first heat. So Swifty needs to move up now.
You know, he just isn't quiet on the sled. He's still not comfortable. Well, you know, a lot of guys are good sliders with no start. And they're pretty envious of Swift's start because he can rocket down the track in the first 50 meters. It's just the other 15 or 1,200 meters he's got a problem with.
He's got to relax into it. He was 14th on the splits, 17th place coming out of the Kreisel, 18th place from 23rd in the first heat.
Still got a chance here.
Relax and let it happen, Swifty. And
he does. 16th best time. Well, that's what you expect out of him.
Well, that's a little better. Moves up 4 spots.
And that puts the Hanson Lee and Marco Rohner on the bubble. They're both at 20.
Back where they were after the first heat, tied for 20th. That's why we had 21 in our reverse order. So a better run for Swifty. Moves up 4-5 spots.
Well, here's a shorter guy. Powerful. Look at his hands. I mean, the British, they're all like bookends. The way all their technique is exact. His hand is coming straight back. The fingers are spread. And this is, if he gets a couple lessons about how to come down the track like he just did.
Yeah.
Well, a good second run for him, moving up 6 spots.
So far, Now, nobody else is going to challenge that, I don't think, from deeper in the field. Hiro Takahashi of Japan started 5:09.
He's better than that.
Builds up speed gradually, doesn't really have an explosive getaway.
Same.
Well, you see that a lot of these starts are very different. Some are flat and long, some drop away quite steeply.
Not this one.
No, a different style of sprinting will work on one track much better than on another. And then, of course, you get the exceptions like Martin's Dukurs and Alexander Tretikov. It doesn't seem to matter what the start is, they're always fast.
Well, he's not really improving his chances any place down the track.
24th place on the splits, which is where he was. So his challenge now will be staying in front of the guys who come down behind him. We've got 3 sleds covered by a 10th behind Hiro Takahashi, so 4 of them almost with identical runs in the first heat.
He's only 400ths behind Ronald Autoset.
Yeah.
But out of the magic number, he's 20 hundredths out of the top 20, which is doable. He's a better slider than that. He's just had a subpar year. And again, you know, we've seen the technique. His fingers are apart. They're not coming back very far, though, compared to like Don Parsons. They come so far back because they're reaching. They're trying to look. And here there's some skidding as he exits 9 to 10.
Hits the wall going into 10. That sort of nudges him a bit on line, but then he's heading straight up as opposed to steering in. Next up is New Zealand's Rhys Thornbury and the RAF weapons technician from Bryce Norton in Oxfordshire. Just 500s behind Takahashi. This is definite move-up potential because he had a bit of a wild first heat. Gets loaded nicely.
How do you describe his position in the Army, RAF?
Charlie Booker, another ex-RAF man, calls him a bombhead. Weapons technician is the official description. Bombhead is what they're known as in the trade. 5:08, 17th fastest start. Now can he move up the order?
They had a pretty good season. A couple 12ths and 15ths.
First time he's had more than just occasional races in a year. This is a full-time season for him. Still travelling as a team of 1. Except for twice this year when Ben Sanford, the sliders delegate to the FIBT, has been on site where he's been able to offer some thoughts.
But he gets a lot of help from all the teams, though. Fraternity here is really tight. Everybody helps each other. 18th best time.
Yeah, so he moves up 2 spots ahead of Tiro Takahashi.
He's only 1200ths now.
Yeah.
He only 1200ths out of that magic 20.
Yes, he is.
And that's very doable.
Good run from Rhys Thornbury. That's exactly what he wanted.
53-57.
His hands spread.
33 hundredths faster than his first trip. So that's how much he learned from the first run down.
He needs some more coaching at that start because he had a very funny angle with his feet as he entered on that sled. His energy was going side to side, not straight ahead.
Well, he'll take coaching from anyone who wants to offer, definitely.
Not from you and I.
Well, yeah, that too. Rhys Thornbury of New Zealand moves up closer to the top 20. Good run from him. And 300 slower than the Kiwi. And Mirambel sees Spanish support and Spanish flags at the top for the man from Barcelona. Marco Rohrer there watching at the far end in the glasses, who's currently in joint 20th.
Gonna need a big run here, Anders.
Man from Barcelona wants to move a little closer.
100th better. Start. Speed. Not there. Half a kilometer down. Top sleds.
26 after the first heat. That tab is not going to help. Little brush of the wall out of 7. A bit more controlled, 9 to 10. He had a bit of a skiddy first run there. Can he overhaul anybody down at the bottom? 1:17.7. I'm not sure that's going to be enough to get ahead of Takahashi.
Don't think so.
He's only 800s behind him. And he is now, ooh dear, 3,800s behind him.
Got a long ways to go to get to that magic 20, 29, 50, 6,500s.
Yep, came down 2,300 slower than Takahashi on that run alone. And that, and there was only 200s in front of Evan Neufeld. Allows room for the Canadian to maybe move up.
Ooh, that tap, it's 4, 5, 6 there for Kreisel. That was lethal. These are good lines here.
I think that was see you tomorrow. Kim Malman's helping out there. In fact, that wasn't. That was Sarah Lavrencic. So this is Evan Neufeld from Saskatchewan in Canada. 27th off the first heat, only a couple of hundreds behind Andamir Ambel.
15th best start. He should. There's that map.
He had a
what did somebody tell us? More. Come on,
Maddie Charney, you should be ashamed of yourself.
The tweet we got in here about Saskatchewan.
One of his Canadian teammates was being brutal about his home province. Saskatoon, biggest population, 200,000 in Saskatchewan. You're saying there was a couple of million people in Saskatchewan a century ago. Population hasn't changed much in that 100 years. 508 getaway, so
pretty good.
Needs to control the sled a little more.
He shouldn't be back here in this position with that start. We've seen him perform at a much higher level than what he did in the first run. Just got to relax, post a good time at the bottom, and fight to get into that top 20. That's not going to help.
Still in 26th place on the split, ahead of Andamir Ambel.
I think this is his first World Championships.
23rd last year in Winterberg.
Oh, so second.
Still 26th spot. So he's
Head
moving
down.
up one at the moment.
21st best time.
Moves up ahead of Andamir Ambel. He's 2.9 off the lead, 2.71 off the lead.
2800s, yeah, 2800s off the magic spot of top 20 in the fourth run. Kreisel, how high does he get above the X drive sign? Quite a bit. Watch his feet. And then here it comes again on our beautiful camera, the exit with a slingshot. He looks like he just brushes that wall.
Oh, I didn't look up.
Good boy. Didn't look up at the line. Joe Cecini from Calgary in Canada, representing Italy. 21st fastest start. Only 28th at the bottom of the run. The speed just seemed to drop away all the way down.
Beautiful helmet.
Second season in the World Cup as well for the 33-year-old. 5:03, that's a good getaway too. That's 600s quicker. And here it all counts.
It's a huge improvement. Now that should give him a chance. I mean, plus he had a rough ride, and it was a mysterious rough ride because we didn't see a lot of mistakes. Was it Joe with the bad exit on curve 9 on his shoulder, or was that Grizz? Look at this. Ooh, he's on the wrong side of that curve there.
Yeah.
Watch him here on the exit.
Ooh, long skid 9 to 10.
Not doing himself any justice here.
I'm not sure if he chose It's Raining Men by the Weather Girls as his walk-on music, or whether that's just some random music playing. 53.98. With an impassive look from his coach.
Is something negative to a positive. His 5:03 start.
Yep.
11th best start in the competition. Joe, that's excellent.
Closed a little on Andamir Ambel in front of him. Anda had his birthday yesterday.
Well, slingshot onto the bottom. Use your great start. Boy, his head comes up in that little bump. Now into curve 8, what's he doing? He's crossing from right to left with a skid. And then a big, on the take-on, a big change of direction of the sled.
And that go-away shot really shows the forces involved. If you get on smooth, it looks smooth. If you go on straight, you can really see it sled digging into the ice. Philip Malta for the Czech Republic. Started his career sliding as a German. Born in Munich, engineering student, started as a bobsledder. He was 6th in the Youth Olympic Games on this track, driving a German bobsled. Then, after injury, converted to skeleton. Started 2 seasons ago.
He's tall, too.
His dad also drove bobsleds for Germany. So, family business. It's not just the hours.
Scratching.
Yeah, the toes dragging a little. Gap after the first heat to Joe Cecini of Italy from him was 23 hundredths of a second. So he's not going to make up all of that. See if he makes up any of it.
Some of it.
29th place, 29th fastest run at the moment. Again, only the 2nd year he's been sliding skeleton with his head in front of his feet and not sitting up in the sled. 54.49 run for him.
But first World Championships.
Yeah.
It's experience.
Hasn't done a World Cup race yet. It's the first time we met him was yesterday when he came in for the headshots. A big smile on his face.
We're going to take a look at this replay coming up. Take a look at his right runner. Our right, I think. Look at it, almost collapsed. See that? Boy, that was weird. This is the way that thing bent there. Good pickup by the crew. Boy, that was flexible.
Next up is our Australian, Dean Timmins, but Martin's Dukurs leads after the 2nd heat. 25-year-old from Perth, Western Australia, twin brother Nick holding the sled on the ice for him. 30th after the first heat. This is the first World Championships for Dean Timmins. Fluent Japanese speakers, the brother, courtesy of their Japanese mum. Half their family they go and see on the way home to Australia every year, going through Tokyo. 5:31, 5:21 first start. Where was he? He was 36 hundredths away from Philip Malta in front of him.
Well, just listening for all the scratching coming down. Big hit there before 9. His toes you can see out as a runner. Not comfortable yet, you know, but you need another 100, he probably needs another 100 trips down a track before he starts to meld into that little tray with runners on it that they come down on.
Yep. 55.20, first heat was a 54.84. So I'm not sure that the ice, as the day has warmed up and more sleds have gone down, not sure the ice is helping much, but he knows there were just too many little skids creeping in.
This 9 is tricky, or Kreisel, excuse me, Exeter Kreisel. And then 8, if he hits there like that, and then he has to go steer in the middle of the curve. And then he's good, that makes it hit the wall here. So the mistake he made was not on there, it was made up on the exit of Kreisel. Put him into trouble in 9, exit of 9. You make a mistake, it just keeps countering all the way down until you get to the finish.
Chases you all the way down the track. Next up, Michał Jakobczyk from Poland. First ever senior appearance from him. He's not started a World Cup race in his career. Straight in at the deep end in the World Championships here.
100-meter sprinter.
Just 20 years old. First season on ice. And he reckons to have done no more than about 70 slides anywhere ever.
Now he looks at there, those 2 curves, he took all of them.
He's controlling the pressure that is the art here, not allowing the sled to do everything.
It's like a golfer standing up there in the tee, being relaxed. You have to be relaxed in this sport, but not when you hit the wall like that. He did it 2 times in a row. It's, you know, he has to find a way to get relaxed. It's the second time in a row this bib has been half torn off.
That left shoulder.
Yeah.
I tell you what, our chiropractors who are up at the top are going to be seeing him, I would think. So he comes down 55.67. It's 55.14 in the first heat.
So a couple chiropractors helping us out. Christine Frost from New Jersey. John Wilhelm.
Yeah.
They've been over here on the sports chiropractic care.
Yeah.
The Federation de Chiropractic de International. It's pretty cool that they send them over here. Obviously, a lot of athletes need it because of this. Bang! Look at him come off like that, and you know. And then look at this. That's why you need a chiropractor right there. And this doesn't help either. Bang! That's hard. I mean, there's a little thing there that catches it. Probably knocked the wind out of him too.
Yeah, they can't do much for the bruising, I'm afraid. Next up, our youngest competitor, just 16 years old. Here's Romanian Mihal Pachianu.
Boy, he looks like he runs well.
Turns 17 tomorrow. What a way to spend your 17th birthday competing in the World Championships.
Probably doesn't have 60 trips under his belt on any 60 times down a track.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being generous.
He was recruited to go into the selection trials for the Youth Olympic Games, which are currently being held in Lillehammer. Didn't make the team, but he's trained here. He's done 4 Europa Cup races. He said this is his home track. In fact, it's the only one he sort of really even vaguely knows. Again, another young athlete who is in his first 6 months of trying to work out what this sliding business is all about. And at the top, we've got athletes who've been doing it for 15 years.
Well, at 16 years old, obviously his occupation is a student.
Well, and we don't mean college, you know. He's at high school. Schoolboy doesn't sound so good on your CV.
Very positive.
Yeah.
Coming in talking to us yesterday.
Listen, Martin's. When did Martin's Dukurs start sliding? Have I got that written down? No, I don't know. 2000.
He's got some pretty good. Looks like he's got some good. Oh, look how sideways his foot is.
Yeah.
He's got to learn. You got to be running straight ahead. That energy, that sideways means the sled's getting pushed over, almost trying to get out of the groove. It's all about straight ahead. Nothing. You don't want your toes pointed that direction.
Penultimate slider for Israel is AJ Edelman. The Hebrew Hammer is his nickname. Started on ice when he was 3 years old. Not sliding, he was an ice hockey goalie. Now, there is a tough trade.
Yeah.
We were down at the Olympic Center watching ice hockey, Slovakia, Austria the other day, and the Austrian goalie, boy, did he earn man of the match.
Played at MIT.
Yeah. See Samson on the helmet. Big and strong. He was a bodybuilder for a season as well. Placed in his first and only bodybuilding competition. Looking to try and get some funding from the Israeli NOC to fund a sprint coach especially for the summer.
I love it though. The first, we read it in the first heat is listed coach, YouTube.
Yep.
I love that.
Well, you know, you do
The
what
only
you
guy's
do.
ever done that.
You do what you do. You talk to the other athletes, and wow, a little late, to say the least, off corner 9.
But I mean, he doesn't have any choice.
No.
He's out all by himself. He's got limited funding. And this is what inspires these people to come out here.
He's up against the likes of the Latvians, the Russians, and the Germans, who've got half a dozen coaches videoing on iPad all the way down. And Phil is helping out with the smaller nations, coaching Adam here this weekend. And you see, he's not just out here having a lark. He's upset because of that big mistake off corner 9. He knows that he knows how to do it better than that. But every athlete who makes a mistake gets upset with themselves. Late height, drove it down, but centrifugal force pulled him back up the wall on the exit.
Yeah, this happens all the time in bobsled. Skeleton here, boy, it's pretty scary. It's about the third athlete we've seen, I think, onto their shoulder.
3 things help you when you're sliding ice: experience, experience, experience. And our final slider in the second of 4 heats, another first-year athlete for Slovenia, Denis Lorencic. Caught up with him on his first World Cup race in St. Moritz. What previous sporting background? No, none, just came straight into skeleton. It's a drug, it gets you.
Construction worker.
5:57 getaway for Denis, 5:47 in the first heat. And again, you know, it's that experience that gives you the consistency in every area of your sport. And that's what he lacks, the same as all the guys who are here down below our top 20. Long slide down into the Chrysler. You don't want to be going in here sideways. Trying to get it back under control. You think it's easy to relax on the sled with your head out front doing 60 miles an hour? I think you can.
But he's coming down.
Yeah.
Making it to the bottom.
No crashes so far. We've had 34 sleds down twice each, 68 trips. We've had 3 wild exits out of corner 9. And they're all safely down and in. Well, 55.66, the track not holding the speed from the first heat as we got outside the top 20, really started to deteriorate quite quickly. It's also our athletes not as consistent. Well, Denis having to learn everything. He's not been a sprinter, so he's having to learn how to run, bent over, pushing a tea tray with his fingertips 2 inches above his toes. Again, none of this is easy. Martin's Dukurs makes it look easy. Believe me, it's far from that.
Well, he's got a 53/100ths lead, which is an eternity of time in the sport of skeleton, especially on a very easy track. Look at his form. I mean, does he make any mistake? Oh, his feet moved a little bit there, but, you know, broke the track record in the first run, and he's on his way to winning his 5th World Championships.
Well, he's the only man in the field who cannot move up, but can he extend his advantage over Alexander Tretikov, the world champion last year, the world champion in 2011, 2012, only 10 and 14 the Olympic Games and 13 the World Championship won by Alexander Tretikov have eluded him. And down towards the tail of our field, Dave Swift gets in at 18th position. A tie again for 20th, Hansen Lee and Marco Aurora. And outside the top 20, Alexander Mutovin looking to move up, as is Rhys Thornberry, Ronald Alderset, and the rest. Good run from Mihai Pakianu, moved up ahead of his Polish rival, Michał Jakubowicz, towards the end of the runs. And so, as he turns 17 tomorrow, he will join the rest of the field in the 3rd heat. And then the final run of the Men's Skeleton World Championships. That comes up tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow morning, we have Women's Skeleton Worlds getting underway. Later today, the Legends race. Bobsledding and skeleton legends and legendary sleds from over the years. And that is at 1700 GMT, 1800 CET. Join us for that. Until then, it's goodbye from Eagles.